Hello and welcome. I'm Namaste from New Delhi. You're watching DD India News Hour. I'm Gautam Roy. Coming up over the next 1 hour. The first Tejas Mk1A from Nasik completes its maiden flight, gets a water cannon salute. Defence Minister Rajnath Singh says 65% of defence equipment is now manufactured domestically. Donald Trump talks to Vladimir Putin ahead of a meeting with Volodymyr Zelensky. The American president says he'll meet the Russian counterpart in Hungary, touting progress in Ukraine talks. The U.S. Chamber of Commerce sues the Trump administration over the $100,000 H-1B visa fee, terms it unlawful. Israel and the Hamas trade blame over ceasefire violations. Donald Trump threatens action if killings continue in Gaza. And Madagascar school leader Colonel Michael Randrianirina is sworn in as president after the military took power in the island nation following Gen Z protests which forced Ange Rathoelna to flee. Well, first up, in a major boost to India's air power and firepower and defence manufacturing capabilities, the maiden flight of the light combat aircraft Tejas Mk1A or Mk1A, manufactured at the third production line of Hindustan Aeronautics Limited, was successfully completed on Friday in Nashik. This is in the western Indian state of Maharashtra, in the presence of Defence Minister Rajnath Singh. The Defence Minister inaugurated the HAL's newly established third production line for its light combat aircraft, the Tejas Mk1A variant, and the second production line of HTT-40 at its Nashik facility in the western Indian state of Maharashtra. The LCA Tejas Mk1A got a water cannon salute after its maiden test flight. And speaking at the event, the Defence Minister said HAL Nashik has played the role of a strong pillar in taking India's defence manufacturing capabilities to new heights.
पिछले 6 दशकों से भी अधिक समय से एचएएल नासिक ने भारत की डिफेंस मैन्युफैक्चरिंग कैपेबिलिटी को नई ऊंचाइयों तक पहुंचाने में एक स्ट्रांग पिलर की भूमिका निभाई है। नासिक एक तरफ डिफेंस मैन्युफैक्चरिंग यानी निर्माण की प्रतीक है, तो दूसरी तरफ जरूरत पड़ने पर दुश्मनों का संहार करने की क्षमता भी रखती है। मैं मानता हूं कि महज केवल एक इमारत या किसी प्रोजेक्ट तक ही सीमित नहीं है, बल्कि रक्षा क्षेत्र में भारत की आत्मनिर्भरता को भी सिंबलाइज करता है, उसका प्रतीक है।
And applauding India's manufacturing system and capabilities, the Defence Minister said India does 65% of its manufacturing on its own soil.
जब मैं आत्मनिर्भरता की बात कर रहा हूं तो मेरे जेहन में वह पूरी यात्रा भी चल रही है जिसकी शुरुआत हमने 2014 से की है। एक समय था जब देश में रक्षा की जरूरतों को पूरा करने के लिए अन्य देशों पर हमारा देश निर्भर था और लगभग 65 to 70% डिफेंस इक्विपमेंट इंपोर्ट किए जाते थे। लेकिन आज स्थिति बदल चुकी है। अब भारत 65% मैन्युफैक्चरिंग अपनी ही धरती पर कर रहा है।
And further, Rajnath Singh said during Operation Sindoor, India's forces not only demonstrated their valor but also proved their trust in indigenous platforms.
भारत की सुरक्षा से जुड़ा हुआ जो पूरा इतिहास है, उसमें महज कुछ पल ही ऐसे हैं, महज कुछ क्षण ही ऐसे हैं जब एक साथ पूरे सिस्टम की असली परीक्षा ली गई है। ऑपरेशन सिंदूर ऐसा ही एक मिशन था। इस मिशन में हमारी सेनाओं ने न सिर्फ अपने शौर्य और पराक्रम का परिचय दिया, बल्कि इंडिजिनस प्लेटफॉर्म्स, स्वदेशी प्लेटफॉर्म्स पर अपने भरोसे को और भी साबित किया है।
Clearly, this is a big moment for India's defense production facilities, this defense capabilities, indigenization, and much more. And we have Major General Sanjay Soy, well-known defense expert, to talk about it. Good afternoon to you, Major General. Just explain to us the significance of this moment. It goes far beyond the fact that India now has flown its indigenous light combat aircraft and advanced light combat 4.5 generation aircraft.
Absolutely, Gautam. Thank you so much for inviting and discussing this very, very important milestone for India. Because when we talk of the modern aircraft, that 4.5 generation, as you have rightly mentioned, it has done its maiden test flight, though it is behind schedule about 2 years. But now, when it was rescheduled, now it is done just couple of days before its due date. So I compliment HAL for this. I compliment the private defense sector for this because they have also contributed in making frame for this aircraft. And I also compliment the government decision to focus on indigenization. Now HAL had to ramp up. The government has given direction that now we cannot go slow only by having a capacity of production of 16 aircraft. Nasik will add another 8. Now, HAL will have the capacity to produce almost 24 aircraft a month, in a year. Because with the phasing out of old aircraft, Gautam, now MiG-21 is totally out. MiG-29s are getting older. Jaguar, Mirage 2000, they are getting older. They also need to be phased out. And there's a need to replace these with the ultra modern and a state of the art aircraft. That is where the Tejas plays a major role. And I'm so happy that a lot of things like you have mentioned, and Defense Minister has also mentioned, that 65% parts are indigenous. That's a major thing, Gautam, because what happens if we have the indigenous capability, then it takes lesser time for maintenance. It is cheaper, and our supply chain is unrestricted. We can continue supply of aircrafts, and it is made as per our need. In Tejas, the way we have added on the Astra missile, we have added on our own ASA radar system, Uttam radar system on this. So it makes a whole lot of difference, and also it also helps in development of ecosystem for manufacturing. One aircraft manufacturing unit means hundreds of ancillary units which help in manufacturing the final product. Imagine the employment generation which it is creating. Imagine the foreign exchange we are saving. Imagine when we are talking of exports, like we are now thought process, we don't make for India, we make for the world. So there were already inquiries for Tejas, and when we talk of the like in 2025, we already crossed 23,000 crore in the last financial year. We had exported what more than 23,000 crore. That's a great jump from 2014, which Defense Minister had also brought out. And Gautam, I was part as in service in 2016. We got together. Firstly, DPP rule was changed. Defense procurement rules were changed. They made much user friendly. Now there's another change now last year, and we brought IITs. We brought private sector under one roof with CII, FICCI, and we discussed, we gave our requirement, we understood what they can do, and see the results now. See the results. Now, so many big private sectors are there competing
Yes.
with public sector, whether it is Tata, Reliance, Baba Kalyani Group, or L&T. Besides that, the many SMEs and MSMEs are there. So the whole ecosystem has become. Last year in the export, there were more export from private sector than the government sector. So it is a major milestone because the way our see the threat perception, Gautam, one side is Pakistan, one side China. We need to protect our air border, land borders, and with that, we need modern air force. And with Tejas 4.5 generation, more different weapon pods, air to air missile, air to ground missile, laser guided bombs, 23 mm guns, And besides that, modern radars, jamming system, electronic system, and better situational awareness for
So how
pilot
does it stack
comforts.
up really compared to the defense capabilities or offensive capabilities that our enemies have, two of them being in our neighborhood itself?
Yeah, Gautam, because Pakistan has about 20 squadrons, we are left with 29 only, and there's a need with the way we are phasing out is very, very important. However, when we compare the Tejas with JF-17, which is the mainstay for Pakistan, it is coming out to be much better. It has got a better maneuverability, and it has got a stealth with the carbon fiber material, which is used for about 40 to 5%, it is lighter and absorbs the radar ray. It is stealth and better maneuverability, better range, air-to-air refueling. With drop tanks, it can go up to 3,000 kilometers. It can reach anywhere in Pakistan. And with the latest missile system, beyond visual range missile system and laser guided bombs. It is a state of art weapon system. And at the same time, Gautam, we should also think of very good thing. And I think Rajnath Singh had also mentioned that now we are thinking of fifth generation. This is 4 by 5 generation. We are talking of fifth generation now. We are developing in talks with the Saffron of France to talk of the fifth generation aircraft. That is how we need to work. We need to think ahead and we need to plan not for tomorrow, 10 years ahead. Defense sector takes time to build, to deliver.
Okay,
It's a
yes,
very,
we
very
have been
complex
talking about
system.
the AMCA, we've been talking about the MMRCA as well. But Tejas, if you look at it, it was something that was initiated in '83. It's taken over 4 decades to come to fruition to this level where we have an advanced light combat aircraft. Do you think the gestation period will be much shorter in the case of the other projects that are being worked upon?
Yes, in fact, Gautam, what happened that earlier it was only PSUs, we were depending only on PSUs for research, for development of aircrafts, and the delays were there, a lot of bureaucratic delays were there, the funds were less. Now, with the corporation of the ordnance factories, there's a sword hanging on PSU. The private sectors have got an equal playing field, and the private sector also adding on. Like in Tejas, I believe that L&T and Tata have also are supplying some parts for Tejas also. Then there are other companies also, MSMEs and SMEs, who are supplying parts to this. So whole ecosystem has changed. The technology has gone much advanced, and our bureaucratic delays are being cut down with the latest DPP also. It has reduced further, and our focus is on indigenous. And with this aircraft coming in, now what happens? This ecosystem has come in. With this, now we have the technology. Now we will be working on further up. It is always takes time, more time to make a first one. After that, once that
Okay.
we are confident, we become more agile, and we are more scientifically oriented. It takes
And
time.
how
But
significant is this inauguration of the third HAL manufacturing or production line? Because it used to be meant for MiGs earlier, so it's been changed over and it's the largest one now that HAL has with the significant capabilities to manufacture and quickly deliver these jets.
yes, in fact, Gautam, it was very, very important because frankly, HAL was very slow in delivering, and which Air Chief had also highlighted. But the fact is that this is the push government has given that we need to ramp up the production speed. With this third production line, which has come up now, which is it has increased the production level from 16 aircraft a year to 24. So I think the government has put an accountability on these organizations also. Earlier, Gautam, like private sector, there's a delay in production. There won't be there's no there would be penalties. There would be questions asked, and nothing was asked for PSUs. They would go scot free. Now there's a lot of accountability. I know when I was in service, they would say why this file has not moved. Why this no action has been taken for last 1 month on this proposal? So those kinds of accountability have changed the whole thing, and things have become much faster. And with this third production line was very, very important because we need to speed up. We are way behind schedule. If this production should have started, I would say, like you have rightly brought it, right from 84 onwards, they started now, even 24 also, delivery were to start for Tejas Mark 1. So very rightly, we need to ramp up and speed up production. Without that, we will not be will be found wanting. Our men are brave, but unless we give them the latest aircraft, how will they fight? We need to keep our Air Force modern and agile.
Well,
Gautam.
certainly. Let's hope that these developments remain fast-paced and our, especially our Air Force, keeps getting more muscle to keep, ward off all enemy aircraft and other challenges. Thanks a lot for joining us to talk about it, General Zoy.
Thank you so much.
And still to come on DD India News Hour. India and Brazil discuss trade, investment, energy, connectivity, health and technology in Delhi. And it's another landmark day in India's fight against left-wing extremism, with 208 Naxals surrendering in Chhattisgarh.
Complex issues, hidden agendas, twists and turns, strategic games. We think all dots are linked. We just need to connect them. Join me every week as I connect the dots to unravel hidden designs in statecraft, mysteries, and decode issues that matter to you. Watch Connecting the Dots with me at these times on DD India.
Welcome back. You're watching DD India News Hour. I'm Gautam Roy. Now, India's External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar met Geraldo Alckmin, Vice President and Minister of Development, Industry, Trade and Services of Brazil in New Delhi today. Both the leaders discussed the potential for greater cooperation in trade, investment, energy, connectivity, health and technology. The Brazilian Vice President is on an official visit to India from the 15th to the 17th of this month. Sri Lankan Prime Minister Harini Amarasuriya, who is on a 3-day visit to India, is scheduled to meet Prime Minister Narendra Modi in Delhi today. Earlier on Thursday, External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar met the visiting Sri Lankan Prime Minister in the national capital. The leaders discussed India's continued support to Sri Lanka and strengthening India's cooperation with Sri Lanka in the fields of education and capacity building. During her 3-day visit to India, Amarasuriya also visited her alma mater, the Hindu College in Delhi University, where she received a standing ovation from students and faculty. She recalled her college days, saying, and I quote, "Entering through the same gates after 3 decades felt nostalgia and admiration. The college has transformed into a vibrant institution with smart classrooms, advanced labs and thriving research initiatives, keeping pace with India's rapid growth." End quote. Amarasuriya's visit is focused on strengthening bilateral ties between India and Sri Lanka and enhancing collaboration in education and capacity building. Egyptian Foreign Minister Dr. Badr Abdulati is now set to meet Prime Minister Narendra Modi in New Delhi today. Earlier on Thursday, External Affairs Minister Dr. Jaishankar held talks with the Egyptian Foreign Minister. Both the leaders met for the first India-Egypt strategic dialogue in New Delhi. And delivering the opening remarks at this important dialogue, Dr. Jaishankar termed this meeting as a milestone in India-Egypt ties, and since the elevation of the relationship to a level of a strategic partnership in 2023, cooperation in various domains has intensified.
Our meeting for the first India-Egypt strategic dialogue is a milestone in our ties, and since the elevation of our relationship to a level of a strategic partnership in 2023, we can see that cooperation in various domains have intensified. Our deliberations today provide an opportunity to take stock and set direction to realize the visions of our leaders.
India and Central Asian nations reiterated their commitment to deepening regional security cooperation at the third meeting of the Secretaries of the Security Council National Security Advisors in Kyrgyzstan. National Security Advisor Ajit Doval represented India at the meeting, joined by his counterparts from Kazakhstan, Kyrgyzstan and Uzbekistan, while Tajikistan was represented by Deputy Secretary of its Security Council. The NSAs reiterated the importance of regular dialogue in view of the changing nature of security challenges. They discussed ways to enhance cooperation in areas of countering terrorism, radicalization, extremism and narcotics trafficking. The leaders emphasized the significance of security and stability in Afghanistan for the region. Now, the third meeting of the Secretaries of the Security Council / National Security Advisors was held on the basis of consensus reached at the first India-Central Asia Summit on the 27th of January 2022, which was to hold regular meetings at the level of Secretaries of the National Security / National Security Advisors. The first meeting in this format was held on the 6th of December the same year in New Delhi, India, and the second meeting was held on the 23rd of October 2023 in Astana, Kazakhstan. The third meeting was also held in the backdrop of a successful fourth India-Central Asia Foreign Ministers meeting in New Delhi on the 6th of June this year. India's Commerce and Industry Minister Piyush Goyal exuded confidence that there is absolutely no power on earth which will stop India from becoming a developed nation by 2047. He added that this goal is something that each one of us has to not only adopt but wholeheartedly work towards achieving. The minister was addressing the annual conference and 105th annual general meeting of India's oldest apex industry body, ASSOCHAM, in New Delhi earlier today.
We are going to become a developed nation by 2047. And there is absolutely no power on earth that will stop us from achieving this status. ASSOCHAM clearly is an important organization in this journey. The ideas we received from ASSOCHAM, the engagement that we are able to do with our startups, our MSME sector, our business and trade ideas that we receive from ASSOCHAM and its teams.
Now, Communications Minister Jyotiraditya Scindia has highlighted 1 year of remarkable achievements of the Ministry of Development of North Eastern Region while interacting with the media on Friday. The minister emphasized the government's focused approach towards accelerating growth, improving connectivity and promoting sustainable development across the Northeast, while reaffirming the commitment to inclusive regional progress. He also highlighted the achievements of the Department of Posts, saying that India's postal network serves as a lifeline of communication across the country. The minister announced that India Post aims to transform its speed post services into a 24-hour delivery network, ensuring every parcel reaches its destination within a day.
राज्य की भूमिका के अतिरिक्त हमारी एक विचारधारा होनी चाहिए क्षेत्र की भूमिका, और इसके लिए हम लोग ने 8 हाई लेवल टास्क फोर्सेस सेटअप किए हैं। 8 टॉपिक्स को 8 राज्यों के मुख्यमंत्री और राज्यपाल महोदय ने साथ में मिलकर चुना है, और जो टॉपिक्स हमने चुने हैं वो पर्यटन है, निवेश, कृषि, अधोसंरचना, खेलकूद, नॉर्थ ईस्ट इकोनॉमिक कॉरिडोर। विश्वसनीयता के साथ आपको ये कमिटमेंट दे रहे हैं। प्रोडक्ट निकल रहा है 24 स्पीड पोस्ट, मतलब 24 घंटे के अंदर आपको मिलेगा ही। और प्रोडक्ट निकल रहा है 48 स्पीड पोस्ट। तो स्पीड पोस्ट का भी और अतिरिक्त डेफिनेशन हमने करवा दिया है, और ये हम लोग लॉन्च करेंगे जनवरी में। इंटरनेशनल में ट्रैक्ट इंटरनेशनल, स्पीड पोस्ट इंटरनेशनल और डायरेक्ट लाइन, ये तीनों प्रोडक्ट्स के आधार पर नई तीव्रता इंटरनेशनल पोस्ट में हम लोग ला रहे हैं।
In a major breakthrough in the country's fight against Naxalism or left-wing extremism, 208 Naxalites or Maoists laid down their arms today in Chhattisgarh, returning 153 weapons as part of the government's ongoing surrender and rehabilitation drive. With this development, most of the Abujmad region and North Bastar are expected to be cleared of Naxal terror, leaving only South Bastar as the remaining hotspot. The surrendered weapons included 19 AK-47 rifles, 17 SLR rifles, 36.303 rifles, among several other firearms. The group of surrenders comprises 110 female and 98 male cadres of the band outfit. The Festival of Lights, Deepavali, is just around the corner and the markets are bustling with lamps made of clay. DD India's Subhina Roy has spoken to artisans in Assam on their stories of hardship in earning a living and how technology could ease their business opportunities.
With the Festival of Lights Deepavali just round the corner, artisans are busy making lamps made of clay to light up other people's homes. Ratan is a clay artisan of Dibrugarh who earns his living making earthen products. His hard-earned little savings are spent in buying the soil needed to make the earthen products. This soil is used for the whole year in making earthen lamps. However, these many earthen lamps don't fulfill the demands of the entire city. Chandan, another artisan, says that a pug mill machine would help in enhanced production of these earthen lamps.
एक प्रकार का मशीन है, जैसे हम अपना मिट्टी को गोल करके इसका ऊपर बैठाते हैं, उसे हम पकमिल बोलते हैं। और एक मशीन है जिसे मिट्टी रोंदता है और रोंद के मिट्टी निकालता है, वो एक मशीन है। तो वो मिट्टी रोंदने वाला जो मशीन है, वो मशीन में आप डायरेक्ट मिट्टी को डाल के रोंद के निकाल लीजिए। निकालने के बाद फिर उस मिट्टी को पकमिल में डाल के फिर निकाल के डायरेक्ट इस पर बैठा के हम उसको काम कर सकते हैं। उससे क्या होगा कि अभी जो हम हाथ से एक गाड़ी मिट्टी बनाने में 15 से 20 दिन लगता है, वो पकमिल में एक दिन में बन जाएगा।
With more sustainable products in demand and the government's call for vocal for local, supporting these local artisans will go a long way in overall sustainable development of the nation. In India, Deepavali, the festival of lights, is celebrated by lighting earthen diyas. And today we are in the Kumarpatti of Dibrugarh, where the artisans are preparing the diyas by their own hands. However, if technology is used in preparing these earthen diyas, these artisans will be able to create more diyas and more sustainable products from earthen, from the soil. With dedicated Dibrugarh team, Subhina Roy, TT India.
Let's now take a look at some other stories making news around the country. The Gujarat government on Friday announced its new cabinet of 26 ministers, which includes Rivava Jadeja, wife of cricketer Ravindra Jadeja. The announcement has come a day after the previous Council of Ministers, except Chief Minister Bhupendra Patel, submitted their resignations. Acting on intelligence regarding narcotics trafficking in the region, the Assam Rifles, in a joint operation with local police, recovered heroin with an estimated value of 3 crore Indian rupees. The seizure took place near Pelapul in the Kachha district during an operation conducted on Thursday. And still to come on DD India News Hour. At least one person killed and dozens of police officers injured in widespread protests overnight in Peru against recently appointed President Jose Cherry. 3 persons killed on board a small aircraft which crashed in Michigan's Bath Township.
Geopolitics and trade deals. Economic challenges amid development. Hard work and the path to prosperity. It's the economy always. Between walkers, money is what money does and says. Supply creates its own demand. Between the bulls pulls and bears tears. When supply chains globalization and India rises to the podium. We'll get you centered with the economic brief at 8 p.m. every Thursday on DD India.
Faster, smarter, better. That's often the promise that comes with modern technology.
Welcome back. You're watching DD India News Hour. I'm Gautam Roy, and before we go any further, another look at our top stories. The first Tejas Mk1A from Nashik completes its maiden flight, gets a water cannon salute. Defence Minister Rajnath Singh says 65% of defence equipment is now manufactured domestically. Donald Trump talks to Vladimir Putin ahead of a meeting with Volodymyr Zelensky. The American president says he will meet his Russian counterpart in Hungary, touting progress in Ukraine peace talks. The U.S. Chamber of Commerce sues the Trump administration over the $100,000 H-1B visa fee, terming it unlawful. And Madagascar's coup leader, Colonel Michael Randrianirina, is sworn in as president after the military took power in the island nation following Gen Z protests, forcing Ansh Rathnena to flee. Now, the U.S. Chamber of Commerce has filed a lawsuit challenging the Trump administration's new $100,000 H-1B visa fee, calling it unlawful and a threat to American businesses' access to top global talent. In a lawsuit filed on Thursday in Washington, D.C., the Chamber asked the court to declare that President Trump exceeded the executive branch's authority by imposing the fee and block federal government agencies from enforcing it. The lawsuit marks the Chamber's first legal action against the Trump administration since it took office. Now, here's why the Chamber calls the move illegal and what it could mean for businesses and workers.
The U.S. Chamber of Commerce has launched a legal battle against the Trump administration over a staggering $100,000 annual H-1B visa fee, calling it unlawful and potentially devastating for American businesses. The fee, a massive jump from the previous $215 registration cost, applies to both new and renewal petitions, sparking widespread concern across industries that rely on skilled foreign talent. At the heart of the dispute is the Immigration and Nationality Act, or INA, the cornerstone of U.S. immigration policy since 1952. It regulates visas, citizenship, and naturalization. The Chamber calls the new fee unlawful, saying it breaks the INA by turning a routine application charge into a financial barrier. It accuses the administration of executive overreach, claiming the White House acted without congressional approval. The lawsuit also argues the change bypassed public consultation, violating fair process rules under federal law, and will make it nearly impossible for small and mid-sized firms to hire global talent. The Chamber's legal argument is clear. Under the Constitution, Congress, not the President, sets visa rules and fees. By using a national security clause to impose the new charge, the administration ignored the separation of powers. Businesses that typically pay a few $1,000s per visa are now facing a $100,000 bill, a sudden move that the Chamber says violates the Administrative Procedure Act by skipping transparency and review. The H-1B visa program has long been a critical pathway for highly skilled professionals in technology, engineering, healthcare, and research. It enables US companies from startups to global giants to hire top talent from around the world. The Chamber warns that the fallout could be devastating. The fee could push American companies from Silicon Valley to small-town startups to move jobs overseas or scale back innovation altogether. That would hand global rivals like Canada and the UK an edge in attracting top engineers and scientists. For now, the fee remains in effect through September 2026, unless blocked by the courts. As the lawsuit unfolds, the country faces a pivotal question. Will America continue to attract the world's best and brightest, or will a costly barrier limit opportunity for businesses and workers alike? Bureau Report, DD India.
Let's now talk about the significant development. We have Ambassador S.R. Tayal, former senior diplomat, joining us to talk about it. Good afternoon to you, Ambassador Tayal. What do you make of the move, and do you feel that once again Donald Trump will get a setback where the courts are concerned?
If we look at President Donald Trump's track record of the last 9 months, he has repeatedly bypassed the Congress, and well-established rules, laws, regulations are being bypassed and circumvented with executive orders, presidential executive orders. And on tariffs and immigration, he has invoked the security clause, which empowers the president to issue this kind of executive orders. But obviously, there is no real security threat to the United States from H-1B visas. So the argument of the Chamber of Commerce in United States, where they have gone to the court, seems to be very strong and on very valid and firm grounds. But United States judicial system, as we all know, there are all political appointees, whether it is at the federal courts or at the Supreme Court. And the last 3-4 months, what we have seen that on many issues, even forcible sending of illegal immigrants to different jails in other countries and all kinds of issues, which have come to the Supreme Court, the Supreme Court has generally sided with the president, because a majority of judges in the US Supreme Court are appointees of Republican presidents. So yes, it's a very strong case in case it is judged in a fair and judicious manner, and is not judged on the basis of partisan stance. And it will take time. Another thing, a caution one would like to put, that the judicial processes in US take time. There are different levels: Circuit Court, Federal Court, and Supreme Court.
Yeah, this one is the District Court in Columbia.
District Court, then another level, then Supreme Court, and stays are given. So this battle must be fought both at the judicial level and also at some point in the Congress. At present, the Republican majority Congress, both houses, are very subservient to President Donald Trump, and they do not have the political courage to challenge, even when they feel like often that some of these measures are very high-handed, very arbitrary, and not in the interests of their constituents or of US economy. But it is a good step that there should be pressure from different sides. But I will say another thing in this context for your viewers, that the American businesses, American entrepreneurs, American companies are very innovative, very flexible, and very quick on the uptake. So they have already started thinking of how to circumvent this in case they do not want to pay $100,000. Now, we just read that Google will invest $50 billion in Visakhapatnam to create a data center for Google. And similarly, many companies, American companies, are readjusting their HR policy, that a lot of Indians would continue to work for them, but maybe sitting in India. And some very high value Indians will be taken by them on H-1B to United States, where they are comfortable paying $100,000 US. So there will be some adjustment in case this new policy is not declared illegal by the courts. But another dimension of this whole problem is that at present there are almost 500,000, almost 500,000 Indians with H-1B visas in United States. And another 500,000, 500,000 are their dependents. An H-1B visa is for 3 years, then extended for another 3 years, and then most of them get their green card or get some kind of another visa. But in case the green cards are delayed and H-1B visas are not extended, then there will be a great humanitarian crisis for many Indian Americans, Indians, and in fact, they are all Indian passport holders, who are there in H-1B, but if their H-1B visa is not extended, because the policy of President Trump, as we know, is always so arbitrary, and it takes
It is arbitrary because when the proclamation came out on the 19th of September, it was said that it's a one-time fee, this $100,000. Clarification had to be issued from the White House because there was complete outcry as to what is going on, because annually, otherwise every time that the visa has to be renewed, the fee has to be paid, which ranges from $500 to $3,600 in certain cases. But this is an astronomical, 3x, more than 30x in fact jump. And that is what is one point, and the other of course is that it doesn't follow the kind of legal procedures, legal hoops it needs to jump through in order to be made into a law. It's just a proclamation.
President Trump is not very respectful of procedures, as we know, and he has his own mind, but he listens to the American business. If American employers, American enterprises, American top IT giant companies put pressure on White House, then he will listen to them. So pressure should be there on President Trump from a political side through the Congress, congressmen, senators, from the industry side, as well as from the judicial side. And hopefully this new law of $100,000 for fresh applicants for H-1B may also be deferred but everything is in a state of flux. One cannot determine any policy in President Trump's White House, as we know, about tariffs and H-1B. So one has to adjust.
The other aspect is that if such roadblocks are erected in America for say talent from India or from other countries to go to America, then there are other nations which are trying to take advantage of the situation.
Canada
coming
has
up with,
already offered.
Yes, Canada, even China with the K visa.
China has offered.
And
But
that Donald Trump should take note.
But our people will definitely prefer to go to Canada. It is just across the border, and they can all serve the American industry sitting in Canada. So there will be adjustment there. And I think since Indian talent is really very expert, they have that expertise, they are very much in demand, and ultimately they are part of any good business plan of any global company. So some way will be found by the industry, by the employers, to continue to employ Indians, whether in United States or Canada or India. But I see that future jobs will continue to come to our technical people because of their competence and skills.
And in the meantime, India continues to talk to the Americans about getting a trade deal through, where perhaps even the issue of visas might be one of the points that are being talked about.
Yes, in fact, now in our agreement, mobility is a very important dimension of bilateral, even FTAs, and but maybe perhaps President Trump's White House may not may like to separate the two issues, because otherwise it will become even more complicated. You know, as it is, because of agricultural products and all of that, the India-US bilateral trade agreement is still a work in progress, and our team is in Washington. Russia, the extra tariff, that is also another issue. So there are many things in the air. One has to be very nimble, and our negotiators and our diplomats are very aware of all these issues.
We seem to be having a bit of a network issue there with Ambassador S.R. Tayal. We'll try and reconnect if that is possible. but I would like to thank him at this point and move on. Thank you, Ambassador Tayal, for joining us to talk about this development, where the Chamber of Commerce, the US American Chamber of Commerce, has sued the Trump administration over the astronomical jump in the H-1B visa fee to $100,000. Now, a row over the return of bodies of hostages held by the Hamas in Gaza retains the potential to upend the truce along with other major planks of the plan yet to be resolved, including disarmament of terrorists and Gaza's future governance. Israel said it was preparing for the reopening of Gaza's Rafah crossing with Egypt to let Palestinians in and out, but has set no date as it has traded blame with Hamas over violations of the US-mediated ceasefire.
Israel says it remains committed to the deal but is demanding that Hamas returns the bodies of 19 Israeli hostages still unaccounted for. So far, Hamas has handed over 10 bodies, but Israeli officials claim one of them was misidentified and not among the hostages. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu reaffirmed Israel's position, saying the country will meet all its war objectives and that its enemies will face consequences.
They worked shoulder to shoulder to achieve all of the war's goals, and we will achieve all of the war's goals. Whoever raises their hand on us already knows that they will pay a very heavy price for their aggression. We are determined to complete the victory that will affect our lives for many years.
On the other side, a senior Hamas official accused Israel of violating the ceasefire, alleging that at least 24 Palestinians have been killed in shootings since Friday. He said the group has submitted a list of those incidents to international mediators. Hamas insists it remains committed to the agreement, but claims returning some of the remains is delayed as they're buried deep within tunnel networks. US President Donald Trump weighed in on the situation, suggesting the ceasefire should end if Hamas continues to kill people.
Well, I'm looking at what's happening, and that wasn't the deal that was made, and we'll see what happens. It's calmed down. It's a tough neighborhood. We know that. We have a commitment from them, and I assume they're going to honor that commitment. I hope they do. And I understand they brought back some additional bodies today. It's a rough deal when you think of it, right? Very rough. We have our hostages back completely. We were very lucky with that. But it's a tough situation. They brought back bodies today, as you probably know. But they also said they're going to behave. We're going to find out if they behave. If they behave, good. If they don't behave, we'll take care of it.
While frustration grows in Israel over the incomplete return of hostages remains, the US has played down suggestions that the delay constitutes a formal breach of the ceasefire.
Now, US President Trump and Russian President Vladimir Putin have agreed on Thursday to hold another summit on the Ukraine conflict. Trump said he would meet Putin in Hungary after a telephonic conversation with the Russian president on Thursday. Speaking to the media in the Oval Office, the US president said the call, the first with Putin since mid-August, was very productive, adding that teams from Washington and Moscow will meet next week. The Kremlin confirmed plans for the meeting, though neither side provided a date for when it would take place.
I would say within 2 weeks or so, pretty quick. Marco Rubio is going to be meeting with his counterpart, as you know, Lavrov, and they'll be meeting pretty soon. They're going to set up a time and a place very shortly. Maybe it's already set up. They've already spoken. And I thought it was a very good phone call. I thought very productive. But I'll be meeting with President Putin, and we'll make a determination. Tomorrow I'm meeting with President Zelensky, and I'll be telling him about the call.
Meanwhile, the Kremlin said the Russian president told Trump that supplying US Tomahawk cruise missiles to Ukraine would harm the peace process and damage US-Russia ties. The Kremlin's aide, Yuri Ushakov, told reporters that a planned new summit between the two presidents will be preceded by a phone call between US Secretary of State Marco Rubio and Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov in the coming days. And Hungarian Prime Minister Viktor Orban has posted on X saying that the meeting was and I quote, "Great news for the peace-loving people of the world," unquote, adding, "We are ready." In another post, Orban said that he had spoken to President Trump and preparations for the summit are underway. Also, Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky met U.S. government officials and defense companies' representatives in Washington, D.C. on Friday. He and his delegation held a meeting with U.S. Department of Energy Secretary Chris Wright and representatives from Lockheed Martin and Raytheon. Zelensky was headed to the White House on Friday to push for more military support, including U.S.-made long-range Tomahawk missiles, while Washington pressured India and China to stop buying Russian oil. Madagascar's new military ruler, Colonel Michael Randrianirina, was sworn in as president on Friday after the military took power in the island nation this week following youth-led protests which forced Ansh Rajlina to flee. The High Constitutional Court performed the swearing-in ceremony of the new president. Rathwelna, whom lawmakers impeached after he fled abroad over the weekend, has condemned the takeover and refused to step down despite widespread defections in security forces. The military ruler has said earlier that the military had taken power and dissolved all institutions except the lower house of parliament or National Assembly. The colonel also said that a committee led by the military would rule for up to 2 years alongside a transitional government before organizing new elections. Colonel Randrianirina also said he was open to talks with the African Union after it suspended the country's membership following the military coup. Peru's new government is to declare a state of emergency in Lima in response to the ongoing violence of organized crime, which has led to massive protests. Hundreds were injured and one person was shot dead by a police officer after demonstrations erupted. The protest called by young Gen Z protesters, transport workers and civil groups was the latest in a series of demonstrations against corruption and rising crime. The police fired tear gas while some protesters hurled fireworks, rocks and burning objects. President Cherry expressed regret over the death of one of these protesters. He blamed violence on delinquents who infiltrated a peaceful demonstration to sow chaos. Let's now take a look at other stories making news around the world as well. Former Japanese Prime Minister Tomichi Murayama, best known for his landmark apology for Japan's Second World War aggression, has died at the age of 101. He passed away on Friday because of old age in a hospital in his hometown of Oita, southwestern Japan. A small aircraft crashed in Bath Township, Michigan, killing all 3 people on board. The incident took place about 15 miles from the Capital Region International Airport and is being investigated by the Federal Aviation Administration. Let's talk sports now. India's top badminton player Lakshya Sen stunned world number 2 Andres Antonsen to reach the quarterfinals of the Denmark Open Badminton Tournament in Odense. World number 21 Sen upset local favourite Antonsen by a 21-13, 21-14 scoreline. After conceding the first 2 points in the first game, Sen got on the scoreboard and never looked back as he dominated Antonsen to comfortably clinch the opener. Antonsen managed to keep pace with Sen at the start of the second game, but Sen seized control after the interval to bag the contest. This was Sen's third win in 8 matches against Antonsen. And in the men's doubles, Satvik Sairaj Ranki Reddy and Chirag Shetty also progressed to the semi-finals after a 21-19, 21-17 win over Chinese Taipei's Li Jiehui and Yang Po Swan. Satvik and Chirag have extended their head-to-head record against the Chinese Taipei duo to 5-0. Meanwhile, Dhruv Kapila and Tanisha Crasto also advanced to the quarterfinals of the mixed doubles after receiving a walk-over. Now, the 17th of October marks the International Day for the Eradication of Poverty, a global reminder that millions still lack food, shelter and dignity. This year's theme highlights the need for fair work and social protection. With 700 million people in extreme poverty, the day calls for urgent action as the 2030 Sustainable Development Goal deadline approaches.
Every year on October 17, the world pauses to confront one of humanity's oldest and most urgent challenges, poverty. The International Day for the Eradication of Poverty is not merely a date on the UN calendar. It is a collective reminder that millions still struggle daily for food, shelter, and dignity in a world of vast wealth and technological progress. According to the World Bank's latest Poverty and Shared Prosperity report, roughly 700 million people worldwide still live on less than $2.15 a day. COVID pandemic pushed an estimated 70 million more into extreme poverty, marking the largest setback in decades. In South Asia, informal workers, women and children remain disproportionately affected by uneven recovery and inflationary pressures. Eradicating poverty requires more than financial aid. It demands systemic change. This year's theme, Decent Work and Social Protection, Putting Dignity in Practice for All, underscores that employment alone is not enough. Workers must also have fair wages, safety, and access to essential services like healthcare and education. India, which lifted over 415 million people out of multi-dimensional poverty between 2005 and 2021, continues to work towards eliminating urban-rural divides, ensuring that progress is both sustained and inclusive. Government schemes under the National Rural Livelihood Mission and initiatives such as Jan Dhan banking and affordable housing have expanded social safety nets to reduce implementation gaps. As the world moves closer to the 2030 deadline for achieving the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals, this observance offers both a reality check and a call to action. The fight against poverty is fundamentally about protecting human dignity, ensuring that everyone everywhere has the chance to live, not merely to survive, but to thrive. Bureau Report, DD India.
And that's all we have for this edition of DD India News Hour. But do let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. And for those on the go, you can get all the latest news and updates from India and across the world on DD India's mobile app. It's available on both Android and iOS. Just scan the QR code, download the app. And we'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Gautam Roy, and from all of us here in Delhi, thanks for watching DD India News Hour.